This is the Exway Wave hub, a small yet powerful electric board which has become my daily driver. It's an older board from Exway, yet probably the most useful I've ever owned in terms of transportability. So is it still worth it in 2023, as this board was released nearly 3 years ago? Exway did send this out to me for this video, which as a small creator I'm very grateful for. However, they didn't have any input over what I say in the video. Now, I will say Exway has been very patient with me. It's taken over 2 months to get this video out, because I do believe in thoroughly testing stuff. So let's get into it. Design and build quality. The first thing you'll notice about the Wave is its sleek and elegant design. The board has a classic maple cruiser deck with variable concave, foot pockets, wheel flares and a kicktail. The deck is made of layered fiberglass and maple. It has a UV cured coat to protect it from scratches and wear. It comes with 2 swappable drivetrain options, so hub motors or belt motors. The hub motors are quieter and have more ground clearance, while the belt motors have more torque and are compatible with most other wheel options. I personally don't own the belt version of this board, but here's a sound comparison between the Wave and the Reveal RS Pro. The drivetrain is mounted on Exway's own Trist RKP trucks, which are forged from aluminium and have an integrated ESC, electronic speed controller. The ESC controls the lights, which are powered by the battery module. Now, talking about the ESC, they did a very good job of hiding it, which got me thinking, if boards like this had their ESC built into the battery module themselves, that would be very handy for upgradability and perhaps repairability. It would increase the cost of that module, but could be something interesting to think about. Subsequently, this is also the main selling point of this board, in my opinion at least, the removable battery. We'll talk about this later. This drivetrain is swappable, so if you later decide that you want belt motors on your board, you can upgrade to that very easily. With the hub motors, this board is actually perfectly balanced. Now, I'm unsure if this has a positive impact on the riding experience, but it is nice that if you somehow launch yourself into the air and go off a curb, that the board will stay relatively horizontal. The wheels are 85mm in diameter and have a hardness of 80A. They are smooth, grippy and handle different terrains as well as you'd expect a short board like this to do. The board has some optional alternatives to this, like the 100mm Hydro all-season tyres. These are great for wet or rough conditions, even though I never recommend riding these in the rain, as it absolutely destroys even the most weather-sealed boards. But these wheel options might be something to consider if you're willing to risk it. I didn't have much choice in the matter, so I did ride this thing in some wet conditions. The wheels were not really worn in yet, so it was kind of slippery. And the first couple of kilometers I could have sworn that there was some form of ABS on the board, but I can't get that to activate anymore. If you have any info about this, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know. Now, unlike certain other brands, Exway did explicitly state that you shouldn't ride this in the rain, and that's something that I really appreciate, as I had a lot of trouble with my Meepo board because they claimed it could do that, and it simply couldn't. The hub motors were rusted after a couple of weeks, and the ESC was entirely destroyed, so I had to replace all those parts. And I think this is a thing that Exway does very well. They claim that their boards can't ride in rain, but they do weather seal them to a certain extent, in case you do get in wet conditions, I suppose. So, big win there. Overall though, it has a minimalistic aesthetic with a black and grey colour scheme and some branding on the deck and under the deck. It almost looks like a sleeper if you look at it from eye height, as the only visible indication that this is electric are the hub motors. So if anybody ever manages to make these look more like regular skate wheels, I'd much appreciate it. The lights also give it away, especially when riding at night when the rear brake light turns on and it gets amplified by that tail poke, which immediately shows that that's not normal. One of the concerns for me was how secure is the battery. Any wiggle means that the board will wear out with use, and so here you see the locking mechanism. It has very minimal flex when locked in place, and the latch does inspire confidence. So I very much doubt you'll have any issues in this regard. The last thing I want is a battery slipping out and locking up somebody's rear wheels or launching anybody into the air. That being said, removable batteries, the most important aspect for long-lasting gear. You see, batteries don't last forever, and especially with boards like this where you're most likely not using them as much in the winter, they degrade at a somewhat accelerated pace. But with this one, it's totally possible to replace it with a new one in a couple of seconds without taking the board apart. Alongside this, it also has some battery health features like the long-term storage feature, which will discharge it if you haven't used the board in a while, similar to DJI drones for example. This is a very important feature because if you leave batteries like this at full charge for half a year, I can guarantee you won't be able to get anywhere near the stated performance or anywhere near the stated range. So with this one, you don't have to worry about leaving it at half charge anymore, it just does that by itself. This is quite awesome to see that Exway has been doing this for such a long time in their boards. Riding experience. Now, because this is in the form of a cruiser board and not the long boards that I'm used to, it does feel a little strange to ride. I find that my front wheels have far less traction, and when I'm turning corners, one of the front wheels sometimes kind of lifts off the ground. I did loosen that truck to combat this, but it's something worth taking note of. Other than this though, my expectations in this area was that I wouldn't be as much fun to ride as I enjoy carving and generally smooth and slick comfort of a longboard. But to my surprise, the Wave is actually quite carvy at lower speeds. Now, it's not winning any acceleration rewards, but in that area it's also quite fun. It feels smooth, stable, responsive on the road. The deck has minimal flex, but decent concave, so it locks your feet into place and it allows you to feel the road conditions. It's up to you if you like that. For me personally, I do enjoy a more smooth ride with a longboard with some more flex in it, so you don't feel every little bump or nick in the ground. But this can be fun as well. The kicktail allows you to make sharp turns, pop dollies and maneuver around obstacles far more easily than with a longboard. On one of my first rides I did kind of a accidental kickflip carving up the side of the board, but well, it's meant to be used. It has 4 speed modes: beginner, eco, sport and turbo. You can switch between them using the remote or adjust the preferences for each in the Exway app on your phone. The beginner mode is great for just getting a sense for the ESC before you ride it, although I can promise you that this is miles better than the LifeRock ESC you'll find on the Meepo V4. So if you have any experience, I think you can throw it into speed mode 4 straight away. I'd say it's even smoother than the Hobbywing ESC I have in my Vireal RS Pro, although you can get launched if you're not considerate about your balance, as is with any board. The Eco mode is good for saving battery life and extending your range, which we will get into later. The Turbo mode kind of unlocks the board and you can push it to its limits, and in this mode you can also reach its top speed, which to be honest isn't that fast, but for a board of this size I think it's fast enough. I wouldn't want to break my speed record on this thing even if it could. It has 4 brake modes: soft, medium, strong and free coasting. You can adjust them according to your preferences and riding style. The brakes are regenerative, which means it will recharge the battery when you brake. This is more of a feature for when you're cruising downhill, which in the Netherlands here isn't really an option. Everything is as flat as a pancake. As for the performance, it's decent. It can reach a top speed of 38 km per hour or 23 miles per hour with the turbo mode on. Now, keep in mind that if you weigh over 70 kilograms, your max speed will be about 30 km per hour or 18 miles per hour. That's not a bad thing. As I said, I wouldn't want to break the speed record on this thing anyway. But if you're a maniac, and most people are these days, I'd say this genuinely useful commuter board maybe isn't for you. Now the best part is its ground clearance, which allows it to handle different kinds of terrains with ease. Even though it's not meant for off-road conditions, it's one of those boards where you somehow end up in them anyway. You seem to go exploring with this thing a lot more often than riding the same old round. It's at this point I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing. If you're getting any kind of value out of this video, hit the like button, or if you have a question, leave a comment. I'm a very small channel, but I don't see myself in a position where I don't create videos like this. So I hope I can keep improving and provide higher quality and more entertaining content for you in the future. A sub to the channel goes a long way in supporting that. Thank you. Battery life. As I mentioned, it has a fast swap battery system that allows you to replace the battery in less than 10 seconds. The battery module is compact and lightweight and safe. It has 24 safety sensors connected to the ESC that monitors each cell individually for voltage, current, temperature, and so forth. This removability also allows you to carry the board much more comfortably on a backpack while you store the battery inside the bag. This helps distribute the weight. It's awesome because I can bike to the location that I'm riding at and have this thing on my back, and this is pretty much the only one I can achieve that with. To further emphasize on transportability, Exway also offers two different battery types, a 99 Wh and a 180 Wh. Now the 99 Wh battery is travel friendly, so you can take it on planes, as the limit for air travel is 100 Wh. Now for some reason when I checked, it seems like the 99 Wh is a little more expensive than the 180. I'm unsure if that's perhaps because they had to get it certified somehow. So the 99 Wh has a stated range of 10 kilometers or 6 miles, and the 180 Wh battery is not travel friendly, so you can't take it on planes, but it does give you up to 20 kilometers or 12 miles of range. That's quite a lot for such a small package, so I tested it out and here is what I was able to achieve. This was my first test run and I wasn't taking it easy on the board, so I was full blasting it all the time. I was carving constantly, and I'm not sure if the GPS actually was able to pick that up, so I only got like 12 or 13 kilometers of range on this test run. When we were filming the video, I left it in speed mode 3 and I got a little more out of it. The battery module also doubles as a power bank that can charge your phone, remote, or any other devices that have a USB port, and it can output about 10 watts of power. The module takes about 3.5 hours to charge with the standard charger, and about 1.5 hours if you use the optional quick charger. So as a commuter to and from the office, this is amazing. The board also has a smart sleep mode that automatically turns off the board when it's not in use to save battery life. It comes with a remote control that's ergonomic, functional, and easy to use. It's essentially the same as every other controller except for that Exway Air Glove I tested a while back. At first I didn't like the look of it, as it had a somewhat cheap aesthetic, in my opinion, but compared to the other remotes like the standard Hobbywing one and the Mibra one, it's similar in build quality. Alongside the welcome addition of a USB-C port, the remote has a thumb wheel that controls the speed and braking, and a button on the side next to the OLED screen that can display the speed and battery mode. You use this button to change the speed mode. The remote also has a vibration feedback system that alerts you of different situations, such as low battery, which sets off at about 20%, connection loss or overheating. It also connects to the Exway app on your phone via Bluetooth, where you can customize your settings, update your firmware, check your stats, and this is actually the first product in a long time where the app actually connects every single time, and that's less common than you think, so big win here. These boards come with a front and rear light, which is very handy as it indicates when you are braking or accelerating. Now these are the types of features that will one day make them legal, and I think this is a great addition by Exway. As for the price, the Exway Wave is what I would call a mid-range priced board, but with high-end features and quality, as it costs around $699 for the hub motor version or $750 for the belt motor version. The board also comes with some optional accessories such as the quick charger, the Pro Skate backpack, or the 100mm Hydro all-season tires. Now there's a lot more competition on the market right now, and I suspect that Exway sent this out to me just as a reminder. The Wave is here. They themselves have also released a new shortboard called the Ripple for a much lower price, and it looks pretty nifty. Links for both those boards will be in the description down below, so check it out if you're interested. It's up to you if these prices seem fair, as I can't justify normalizing it if I didn't pay for any of it, and it's highly dependent on your financial situation. I will say that these boards have been a great outlet for me personally, and the joy that they have brought me over the past 2 years is quite considerable. So there you have it. I hope you liked what you saw here today, and if you did, please consider subscribing or liking the video. Again, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer all of them. I hope to see you in the next one. I forgot that last part.